Running, it burns so many calories the weight just falls off. No, running burns so much calories you lose all your muscle. Have you seen how jacked an Olympic sprinter is? It's great for your heart, but it's bad for your knees. 365 days ago, I started running every single day. Here's what happened to my body, from how much my running improved to how much my body changed. Now there's 5 categories we're going to cover of how my body changed. 1, cardio, 2, endurance, 3, speed, 4, injury/mobility, 5, how I physically looked. I'm also answering all the questions you left in my last video, like hair wash days, winter running shoes, and more. Number 1, how it affected my cardio. I have both an Apple Watch and an Oura Ring. The coolest thing is in the Oura Ring every morning tracks your resting heart rate throughout the night. Closer to the beginning of the year, I would see a lot of 57. There's a lot of factors that go into resting heart rate, my recovery, if I drank, how much caffeine I had. Like for example, we went out drinking on Saturday, so yeah, my heart rate was at 60 today. Near the end of the challenge, I started getting resting heart rates in the high 40s, a lot into the low 50s. And typically the lower the heart rate, the healthier the heart. And also less lactic acid buildup. I drink 4 to 6 liters of water a day. You definitely don't need to, but I just know if I don't, I'm very thirsty. 4 liters on an average day, 6 liters on an intense day. I also drink 1 electrolyte package a day. I use the brand Element, sometimes up to 2 if I have an intense workout. Number 2, speed. The beginning of this challenge, I really didn't start out with speed being the parameter. I was just running, enjoying. I did the 10 kilometer. Had surgery. My history, I'm very fast twitch fibers. I played sports like basketball and volleyball. I was a sprinter. I was fast. I was never an endurance person. Anything above 2 kilometers was like, I wish there was like 400 meter races adults could do or something like that. I looked into it so much. What I ended up doing, I go to Barry's boot camp a lot. Their treadmills max out at 15 miles per hour. Starting in July, I was like, my goals by the end of summer is to max out Barry's boot camp treadmills. I didn't really do any specific training for this. 1 to 2 times a week I did HIIT, and then every week just tried to sprint a little faster. And by the end of summer, I was able to sprint 15 miles per hour for 15 seconds on the treadmill, which was a very nice goal. I felt very good. Now, the most important part of my run streak, the thing that made me feel lean, fast, agile, biggest thing that impacted that lays on the other side of this door. At least 7 hours of sleep. Tried to every night, most certainly did not. But if I have one recommendation, I think I just say this in every video about health and wellness, sleep. Now for the complete opposite of speed, how did it affect my endurance? I don't really know how to do this because the most I ever ran was 12 kilometers. I guess the interesting thing would be to know how much my endurance improved. As someone who never did really anything above 10 kilometers, I really was in that 2 to 6 range for most of this. I decided to do a triathlon with no training, because I'm a YouTuber and I thought that was a good idea at the time. In case you missed it, it was definitely not a good idea. But the fact I was able to do an Olympic distance triathlon with no triathlon training, no distance running training, so I wasn't biking, I wasn't swimming, and my lungs felt good. I think it's a cool thing that, yeah, I had great endurance by not even training distance, just training a little bit every day. You don't need a ring that tracks your sleep, and you don't need a watch that tracks your run. But my God, I'm a nerd. It's like fitness tech it's just my jam. I love it, I love it. Just keep in mind, nerd, don't need. After each run, I hop in the shower. I only wash my hair twice a week after my most intense runs. Sometimes I'll wash it a 3rd to 4th time, but I just use a cleansing cream. And if you see me in a slick back bun or a baseball cap, you know it was not hair wash day. Pre-run, I do my full skincare routine, and then I put on an SPF and a little bit of a CC cream sometimes. Post-run skincare, putting on toner, hydrating serum, moisturizer, sunscreen, then put on my makeup. Makeup done. And then the last step of every runner's beauty routine. Little quick quiz. What is the most important beauty product of every runner? Is it A, nail polish, B, hand soap, or C, deodorant? If you answered C, you are correct. Because obviously you need deodorant after running. And what is my go-to deodorant? Native. Why it's so good, especially for runners. The texture is non-sticky, quick drying. It's both aluminum and paraffin free. It's vegan, cruelty free. It is a 72-hour odor protection. Even if you're exercising and move around all day, I feel I don't even have to like reapply it before after run. I just put it on once a day and I'm good to go. My go-to is eucalyptus and mint. It just smells like a spa and a mojito combined.
My second favorite is the citrus and herbal musk, which I always use in the summertime.
It just smells like a mimosa. And then I love the coconut and vanilla, especially in the wintertime when I want something really cozy. It just smells like a macaroon. They also have a toothpaste and body wash. And also they have a plastic-free option as well. I got a deal for you guys. 3 deodorants would be $39. But if you use my code KELTY6, you'll get them for $26. That's over 33% off. And also with my code, you can get 20% off with their body wash and toothpaste. And thank you, Native, for sponsoring this video.
3 months in, I felt great about my body. I didn't really notice any changes. I didn't lose any muscle. I didn't really lean out, but I was just feeling good, athletic, but I could feel improvements in my cardio and endurance without any injury.
Number 3, mobility. Starting in 2020, mobility, flexibility was kind of the biggest part of my routine. I did a full Olympic gymnastics training. Mobility and flexibility is so important for runners, especially because you're doing very front and back. You're just doing one movement continuously. Any kind of exercise needs mobility, really, when you think about it, just even if you have a desk job. But I'm gonna be honest, my mobility sucked. Does that mean running equals bad mobility? No. But the reality is I only have so many hours in a day. Previously, mobility was the most important part of my fitness routine. And when I'm doing the run streak, I made that my priority. And the reality is we only have so many hours in a day, and I don't want to make an excuse, but I think we've all been there. Would I like to have spent an hour every day doing mobility training to counteract it? Yes. Did I? No.
Mobility is so important to runners because unlike yoga, Pilates, and even some weight training, they have built-in mobility movements. You're doing lunges, you're stretching, you're just doing different range of motions. Running is very one-dimensional, and that's why it's so vital to do mobility.
I'm not a professional athlete. I can't just spend my entire day working out and doing that. I tried to for 5 minutes every single day. I was really on and off depending on the season. And yeah, my mobility went downhill. But we're changing that in 2023. Stay tuned for that. Pre-run nutrition.
What I ate before a run. Most runs I did fasted. I do them right when I wake up, and I wake up with full glycogen stores because I do eat late at night and I just don't wake up hungry. But if I knew I was doing a longer run, I always made sure to just have some simple carbs just to really fuel. Or if I was running later in the day, I'd also just add a little bit of light carbs before I ran. And sometimes it was just pure sugar and caffeine.
But what do I have after a run?
You can definitely have like a post-run supplement of sorts, some carbs, some protein. But for me, honestly, I just went about having a meal. As for my nutrition in general, I'm not that strict about it. There's some parameters that I always try to follow. I always try to get at least 30 different plants in a week. I try to eat foods high in omega-3s and vitamin C and iron, but I really just try to mix it up with the seasons and enjoy food and all the different cultural influences when I travel. And so I'm very not strict with it. Just try to get in all the good stuff.
For injury. Quick timeline. December 2021, 30-day run streak. January to March, I was just kind of running every day, trying to build up my weekly volume. End of March, April, I started doing a 10-kilometer training program to get ready for the 10-kilometer race. Had surgery, slowly got back into it. June was just running for fun. July just running for fun, transitioning to speed. After I did that, come September, I wanted to challenge myself. I did the triathlon. This was the problem. I avoided injury during this entire challenge up till September. The reason being, I slowly increased my volume for the week. So say I was just running 10 kilometers for the entire week. Then the next week I just might run 10.5, then 11, and then 12. And then sometimes I jump up to 15. I feel I couldn't recover and scale back. And I really did a very intuitive approach to make sure I didn't injure myself. If I felt my shin splints were really bad, I started stretching my calves more. I made sure my shoes weren't worn out.
In the summer, I stuck to Nike, OnCloud, and Lululemon shoes. I love them all. Lululemon for my HIIT classes, Nike and OnCloud for on the road. And then in the wintertime, I transitioned to my Nike Pegasus Geotex. I love these shoes, but they are not for everyone. I have very narrow feet. I would recommend going to like a running room and getting your own foot tested for the best shoe for you.
Usually you probably only have to change your running shoes like once a year. I changed them 2 to 3 times just because I knew I was putting more kilometers on. This is why you can't just go 0 to 100. 1 kilometer left in my triathlon. See, the end is near. I jump up, and as you heard, my hips seized. I didn't get an x-ray on it. I just went to physiotherapist. It very likely was just an imbalance of muscles and tightness that caused a strain in my hip. I was injury free because I intuitively listened to my body. I didn't increase volume too much. I never ran more than my body couldn't recover from. The one time I did was the one time I got injured. And then I had surgery. That's not really injury, that's like a self-inflicted wound. I don't want to brag, but I'm gonna brag because you know what? This streak is kind of impressive, but it's not that impressive. You know what's impressive? The fact I did this while living in Canada and Sweden. It's not just as simple as throwing on a pair of shoes and a pair of runners and heading out the door. No, there's a little bit more thought goes into it.
This was my go-to running outfit in the summer, the Lululemon sports bra, shorts, and Swiftly tee and socks. I'll link everything down below. This is just my favorite. I have multiple different colors. Winter is pretty similar. The only difference is it was a pair of Lululemon leggings, a longer sleeve Swiftly tech, and then I'd layer. I'd add on a hoodie and then a vest most days. Sometimes it was just a hoodie or a zip up.
Did you ever get shin splints, calf strains, hamstring pulls? And if you did, what did you do about it? No, I got shin splints a bit at the beginning. Once I started stretching my calves and got proper running shoes, that went away. I'm not a physiotherapist. I can't prescribe for you guys, but just make sure you're stretching your legs and make sure your proper running shoes is one of the foundational pieces we should all be doing to negate injury.
The last quarter of this challenge, being transparent, my body felt fatigued. I was battling my first injury. I had already achieved my 2 goals of running, which is doing the 10 kilometer and maxing out the treadmill. That, along with traveling, my body and motivation was lower. This is when I transitioned to viewing it more from a place of fun and community. And honestly, it's hard to say how my body was physically and performance-wise during the last 1 to 2 months because that simply wasn't my focus. Now, the only vital thing for every single run for me is music. I need it. I just run with regular AirPods because I do have the AirPod Pro Maxes. They are way too heavy to run in.
Also, don't feel you have to have fancy running equipment to run. There was plenty of times I would run in a puffer like this. I'd look stupid. It's definitely not the best thing for sweat wicking, but sometimes you just get out and run. Biggest question, how did my body actually change? There was so many factors. Beginning, I didn't really see any changes. I kept with my normal weight training. I kept my calories the same. If I ran extra, I ate extra, and my body didn't change. I did notice, I would say around April, I just felt a bit more jacked. Could I have just been eating a bit more so my muscles were fuller? Yes. Could I have been starting to gain some muscle in my legs and that because I was doing a bit more sprint training? Yes. It's tough to say. Surgery happened. Yes, I definitely lost a little bit of muscle. I was in June. I was on vacation. I felt a little like gangly. August, I once again kind of felt how I was in April. I rebuilt it back. I did have some up and downs with just even in my own head with my body throughout the year, but it had nothing really to do with running. I had 1 surgery, 2 other times I had to be put under due to teeth things. My gut microbiome was all over the place this year. When you have surgeries, kills your gut microbiome, taking antibiotics, stress on your body, it's up and down. It's definitely been a whirlwind physically and how I physically felt in my body aside from the run streak.
From the book Exercise by Harvard professor of biological sciences Daniel Lieberman outlines how humans uniquely actually evolved to run long distances. We cannot run faster than a horse, but we can run longer. What makes us unique is our ability to jog unlike other animals on earth. You often hear running is bad for our knees. It's not running, but running too far without allowing your body time to adapt that leads to injuries.
And you'll see in the thumbnail, I had some crazy before and after because that's what us YouTubers do. And some context, I felt running didn't really change my body that much. What did change my body sometimes after surgery, I get really bloated and inflamed. If it was Christmas, like it just was, I was bloated and inflamed. And in a couple weeks, I listened to my body and things even out back to normal. I did lose boobs, so those are gone. It wasn't really a big influence on my body, a little bit in things, but nothing so drastic as my nutrition, my weight training, making sure I was getting enough sleep, having a healthy gut microbiome. Those were the biggest influences. Once again, fitness is not just for how you look. It's just an added bonus. Usually when you work out, you look healthy. Not always. So if your goal is to have the most dramatic body change, running's not the best way for it. For me, it's about heart health, endurance, and just a nice physical challenge.
Due to the copious amount of challenges I have throughout the year, I have random videos of me throughout the year just having before and afters. I didn't really set out any for this challenge because once again, I started this challenge not realizing I was going to do this challenge. So yes, they're all in different lighting, they're all in different poses, but I put them together so you can kind of see. And It's funny, all these are from different challenges, different phases in my resistance training, stretching, all that. The only consistency was I was running every single day. And you'll notice my weight always naturally fluctuates within, 5 pounds throughout the year. There's sometimes I'm a bit leaner, sometimes I'm a bit fluffier, definitely winter, because in the winter, eggnog and I have fun. In the summer, I'm naturally more active and salads sound a lot better in the summertime. So that's kind of naturally how my body changes. Also, a tan makes a big influence. Just know I feel very little of it had to do with running and more of it had to do with all the other lifestyle factors.
Then kind of near the end of when I was just running a bit more, less focused on sprint training, I definitely did feel my muscles weren't as oomph because it just wasn't big in my focus. But overall, after running for a year, I didn't see any negative impacts on muscles. The only time I saw negative impacts is when I wasn't fueling myself properly, when I got overstressed and I wasn't weight training, when I wasn't keeping up my resistance training. The months I still did my resistance training, did my runs, fueled my body, I saw no muscle loss. And I'll show some before and afters, and my body hasn't really changed that much. I've been a seasoned athlete all my life, and it takes quite a bit to see changes, and I'm not gonna sit there and measure every little part of my body. After a year, it was a lot. It was a lot to think every single day to get up, do this run. I always did it and listened to my body, but still just mentally, I traveled a lot, did challenges, always focusing on this. I just started to feel a little disconnected with my body near the end of this run streak, and I definitely was just doing it to get to a year. And I pushed it past the point of where I think it was realistic to do. So December, I continued on the streak, kind of being like, you might as well go for 400. And because I didn't have as much time to focus on mobility, I felt a little disconnected with my body. I felt overtrained from traveling and just exhaustion and just fatigue of Q4 and no sun in Vancouver and Sweden. It was beautiful. It was so nice to connect with my body, but the run streak near the end stopped serving that. It was a great challenge. I'm proud of myself, but I realized I have to step foot into another chapter. Something that really connected with my body many years ago is when I got into yoga. Pilates kind of sparked this again, but just really get back into mobility and movement and connect with my body in terms of like that kind of flow, graceful movement flow than just the flow of the runner's high. And that's what I'm forever chasing. And that is definitely the next chapter that I want to go into, what my body is craving after a year of this. And if you saw my other video, who got there first, brother or mother? The internet needs to know. My brother beat my mom, but like barely. This was an amazing experience with my body. I feel good. I feel I accomplished something. I just think anytime you set out a goal, you achieve it, it's great. But is it serving my body anymore? No. My body is really craving flexibility, mobility, getting back to my gymnastics, stretching routine, yoga. That is the era I'm stepping into for 2023. And what does that mean for my streak? You'll have to stay tuned to find out.